Hello, Jaguar students. It's your friendly neighborhood math teacher, Mr. Allred, and I would like to welcome you to Unit 3, mini lesson number 4. Today, we're going to take everything we talked about yesterday, solving those proportions, and we're going to look at word problems, set up proportions like we looked at yesterday and solved, and then solve the proportions that we set up for those word problems. By the end of today's lesson, you should be able to explain to a friend how to solve a proportion word problem all the way from start to finish. You should be able to explain to your friend how to set it up and solve it. This is your fifth entry in the table of contents. Today is November 1st, 2017. I hope you had a very, very spooky, happy, and lovely Halloween. Let's get ready to work. Hopefully, we won't have a sugar crash as we work through mini lesson number 4. On the top right-hand side of your page, please write this is entry number 5 on the top right-hand side of your page. Yesterday, we used proportions and we solved them. And the way that we did that, we said there was 2 ways to solve them. We said we could find a common scale factor, or we could cross multiply and divide. So yesterday, we looked at problems and solved them. We looked at problems that look just like maybe this guy did right here. And we were able to solve problems just like this one yesterday. We found a common scale factor. We knew 4 went into 12 3 times, and 3 times 3 would have to be D. D would have to be 9 there in that proportion that we looked at yesterday. Okay. Today, what we're going to do is we're going to look at word problems and try to set up proportions like this one and solve them. So we're going to decide what 2 things are being compared. Then we're going to set up a proportion for each situation. We're always going to make sure that our units line up. What I mean by that is the top numbers should both have the same units. If there's ever any mixed numbers, we're going to change them to improper fractions. And then we're going to use whatever our favorite strategy is, your best strategy, one of these 2 ways to solve the proportion. Okay? So as a refresher, I want you to look at this proportion right here and see if you can solve it. Oh, Lord. See if you can solve it for t. Look at this proportion right here and see if you can solve it for t. Tell Edpuzzle where you got here for this one before we start. Great job. Hope you found that t would be 8 there by using whatever strategy you like best. We're going to read number 1. Here we go. When you read a word problem, you should always underline the key words. You should always box the question. So it says Andrew jogged for 50 minutes and he covered a distance of 2.2 miles. Those are the 2 things being prepared, the minutes and the miles. What is his speed in miles per hour? What is his speed in miles per hour? There are 60 minutes in 1 hour. And this right here, miles per hour, that's a unit rate like we talked about way back when in mini lesson 1. What I'm going to do is I'm going to write a ratio for this first sentence. It says he went 2.2 miles in 50 minutes. So right here I have one ratio that compares his miles to his minutes there. On the other side, I'm going to write another ratio, and I want to know how many miles he went in 1 hour. What I set up here about lining the units up, this is exactly what I'm talking about. Okay? So when you try to line your units up, see how I have miles on the top on both ratios? I have minutes on the bottom. I can't write 1 hour down here on the bottom because 1 hour and 50 minutes don't have the same units. So I converted 1 hour to 60 minutes there, and I don't know how many miles. I want to know his speed in miles per 1 hour, which is 60 minutes. The best way for me to do this one, guys, is to cross multiply and then divide. So if you do 50 times x, you get 50x. If you do 2.2 times 60, whip your calculator out, that's 132. Remember that x is just a variable. A variable is a letter that represents a number. And I need to figure out what number I can multiply by 50 to get 132. The best way for me to figure that out is to divide them from each other. And 132 divided by 50 is 2.64, 2 and 64 hundredths miles per hour. So he was jogging about 2 and 64 miles per hour if he stayed at that constant speed the whole time. I wrote a proportion to solve for a missing variable in my problem. I was comparing 2 things, miles and minutes. I converted my 1 hour to 60 minutes, and then I cross-multiplied and divided there. Okay. Number 2 says that Joseph was cycling. He cycled a distance of 4 miles in 45 minutes. How many miles per hour was Joseph cycling? Okay. In this one, I know he went 4 miles in 45 minutes. So I'm going to write a ratio that says that, 4 miles to 45 minutes. Just like the other one, I want to know how many miles per hour he went. And in 1 hour, that's right, there are 60 minutes in 1 hour, just like there were before. That has not changed. Okay, so I want to know how many miles, I don't know, so I'm going to call it X, in 60 minutes that he went. What I want you to do now is I want you to try to solve it. Use these 2 steps and write these down. Cross multiply and divide, and then write the units in your answer. Tell Edpuzzle what you got when you're done. Good job there on that one. I hope you got the right answer that Edpuzzle told you you should get there for that one. All right. If 2 dozen flowers cost $18.96 and 4 dozen flowers cost $37.92, what is the cost for 1 flower? We're going to work on this one in my station. We're also going to work on numbers 4 and 5 in my station as well. What I notice about 4 and 5 is that I have some mixed numbers, so I probably convert those to improper fractions, and we'll talk about that when we get there in my station. Okay? This is just a tiny introduction to proportion word problems. We're going to work on it even more when we get to my station, but I do appreciate you paying attention there through numbers 1 and 2. The big thing for these is to decide what's being compared, set up a proportion for each situation, make sure the units line up on top and bottom, change all the mixed numbers to improper fractions if you have to, and then use whatever strategy you like best to solve the proportion. Sometimes you might have to cross multiply, but sometimes you might be able to use scale factor depending upon the numbers. Thanks so much for paying attention. I really appreciate it. Make it a great day or not, the choice is yours. And remember that of all my students I've ever taught, you are one of them. Have a great day. Thank you.